In this video, I want to walk you through the paid B2B SaaS marketing strategy, which made my clients over 65 million. And primarily this number comes from a couple partnerships. One with a prop tech startup, which closed 8 figures in commissions from high-end real estate transactions, and the SaaS was taking percentage from deals. The other one was cybersecurity enterprise sales with telecom providers, each of them being over $1 million a year subscription, and then 150 others about which you can learn on my channel in other videos. So the core concept which we followed was the following. Instead of trying to get your ads speak to all possible people who can buy in a potential market, target the top 5% of in-market buyers and position it as a solution to the urgent problem they have instead of a nice to have. So whenever there is a market, you want to be advertising to this top 5% first and make sure you can land as many of them as clients, because they are the ones which have the shortest sales cycle, the fewest objections, and they are just looking for your solution now. So the setup sometimes was LinkedIn ads, but most of my clients found that over a long enough period of time, Meta algorithm was always the smartest, leading to a lower cost per booking. And that's why typically after a couple months after running dozens and dozens of A/B tests, we usually would still double down on Meta ads as the channel. First of all, what you want to do is start with a roadmap. And instead of you trying to come up with a brilliant strategy to generate millions out of the blue, what you actually want to start with is to interview existing customers, why specifically they bought, what were they unsure about when purchasing, so we could address this in pre-call sequences. Then what we've done is we segmented customers who paid the most, bought quickest, and stayed longest. And the goal was to make everything in our messaging speak directly to them. As I mentioned, you want to make sure that you land the first top 5% of in-market buyers as your customers, and only then you move on to the rest, because doing this is exactly what led to this success. The second step is you want to identify which ads have been working best for competitors and have been live for more than 3 months. So a good signal for highly performing ad is when it's been running for more than a couple months for one of people in your niche who are selling something similar. And there are a couple of references on the right. Basically, there is another thing to keep in mind here, because the mistake I've made is I tried to copy competitors. For one of the projects I was a part of, I tried to copy competitors who were too many steps ahead of me, and the tricky situation you can end up in this case is them having much deeper pockets. They can run unprofitable ads for much longer than you, what was going to put you out of business. Because if they, for example, one of the situations when it recently happened is one of the people I'm working with has copied the ads of School, the one run by Harmodi and Sam Owens. And School is currently running, I think, between 2,000 and 3,000 active live ads. So they're spending millions in ad spend every month, like from my estimate, or at least like multi-six figures for sure. And a lot of those variations, so what one of my clients have done is they took them as a reference, but then these ads never performed. And the lesson here is, if you want to check what is already working in the market, is make sure that you are not copying from someone who can go into another 5 to 10 million in negative and who has enough leverage to do so, comparing with yourself. I mean, happy for you if you can allow yourself to be couple mil down as your part of your ad learning process when scaling your ad campaigns. But majority of people I work with typically want to start getting their campaigns profitable within 3 to 4 months max, so that then this becomes a long-term sustainable customer acquisition engine, and they're not willing to spend like couple mil going into negative just to then recover from it, nor do we often have that. So You identify which ads have been working for your competitors for a couple months. Keep in mind not to do that for people who are much larger companies than you, or who have like hundreds of millions in potential ad spend. With them, you want to be more cautious and more precise about, okay, what you actually believe is working for them and converting, rather than just running on the back end. Then you want to create ads addressing 3 to 5 different angles to see which one would convert cold traffic best. And depending on the business model, you create an instant form or a sales deck or direct to sign up or a video sales letter funnel. And you want to A/B test each of them to see which one is going to perform best for your niche, for your type of solution. By the way, when I work with someone as an advisor, I help them with that and share all the assets they need to set it up correctly within a day, so they don't spend weeks and weeks on this. The next part is going to be message validation. So once you understood, okay, why you had certain people buy, why some of them didn't buy, who are the ones type of prospects you want to be targeting as your top 5% of in-market buyers, the next thing you do, you want to validate the messaging. So after the first 20 demos, which you book from your campaigns, you see which ads generated calls with buyers who had the following. So basically, they were the closest to your ICP, they had the least objections, they had the most money, and they had the most urgency. And these are some of the factors you want to be looking towards. To do that, after each call, you and or your closer rank urgency, budget, and feed between 0 and 3 points. That's something I've done with clients. 0 if the prospect didn't know why they were on the call, had no intent, and were far from ICP. And you put 3 if it's a max point on each. So with a max score of 9, you can now understand the actual top ads to identify your top 3 best performing ones. Even if initially you thought 5 or more did very well. The reason why we do all that is, imagine oftentimes I see founders run paid campaigns. They, let's say, have 30 ads running, have 5 to 7 ads bring them some sales and some meetings, and they think that, oh, all of these 5 are equally validated and performing, so they just try to do more variations of all the 5. However, they don't dig a level deeper to understand that these ads are not even in terms of the quality of sales they generate. Because imagine if one ad brings you people, like imagine you have ad A and ad B. You have 2 ads, A and B. The first one gets you sales and the second one gets you sales. But the first one, people have more objections, close within 2 or 3 meetings, and they stay for a couple months less. While the second type of ad, they pay more, quicker, and stay longer. Even though, like in some cases, from the first ad, the cash collected in the first month can be higher, still, when you look at the overall picture, the second type of ad is much more sustainable for you to double down on in the long run. And this is why we do work like this, to understand, okay, if we have multiple ads generating us sales, what are the ones which we actually need to double down on? So if you closed sales within this testing weeks as well, then you can bring your comparison further by also ranking your deal cycle length. Sometimes it can be 1 call, sometimes 3 calls, sometimes 5 calls. And you also want to compare your contract size. This is how, if you want to go a level deeper, you're also going to be ranking urgency, budget, feed, deal cycle length, and contract sizes. If you allocate points to your prospects using this formula, and then you're going to end up with this list of ads, ones which are getting you the best to type, best to serve prospects, and the ones which are bringing you lower quality ones. From there, you understand which ads you want to put into your scaling campaign, which is the next step we do. So after you identified your top 3 most money generating ads, you now make 10 ads around each. For every 10, you use the same winning angle, but test different formats, copies, and variations of the angle. So if the ad, which made the most money for your barbershop AI agent, was replace 3 receptionists with AI that knows everything around your business and is online 24/7, now you use this idea in video formats, different static ads, testimonial style ads, and other. So in simple words, once you understood which idea is working, now you test all different formats around it. Typically for your message validation campaign, you set ad spend equally between ad sets. Here in the scaling campaign, you now do it at the campaign level to give algorithm more freedom to find which of 3 angles is best. So instead of allocating spend equally between these angles, you now do it at the campaign level, because thanks to that, you're gonna know which direction is the best to head towards. Once it took one of my clients 3 rounds of iterations to find the formula which worked far better than the others for selling his solution, and he was between 7 and 20K annual upfront in terms of his ticket size. Watch this video which I got here, where I shared exactly what we've done to make it work. So he went from LinkedIn ads towards Meta ads and a couple other things, which watch it and you'll find out. So lastly, after you followed the steps of roadmap, validated the messaging, run your scaling campaign, now the next part is expansion. Depending on the niche you're in, you can utilize the winning messaging from your scaling campaign for around a year, meaning for the first year, you can be selling to this top 5% of in-market buyers. But typically after 12 months, if you've been reinvesting ad spend to grow quicker, your top 5% of in-market buyers will either all be your customers or know about you. If your model was set up right and you made necessary hires on time, you'd have added 1 to 2 million ARR by then. So the next stage is expanding outside of your in-market buyers and repeating these steps to identify which messaging works best on prospects who currently aren't actively looking for a solution like yours. So if, let's say, the goal of the first year was to land all the people who are problem aware and relatively solution aware, and many of who are looking for one, the target for year 2 onwards is going to be expanding your total addressable market and finding ways how to best market your solution to people outside of this top 5% zone. Here, one of the best approaches we've found is running story-related type ads. So you describe the story your prospect is currently living, and if it resonates well with them, you get good booking rates even with leads who are outside of your core TAM. And if you want to learn more on this, you can check out my Telegram channel in description, as I talked about it there in more depth. Appreciate you watching this video and see you in the next one.